Welcome back to The Outsider Edge, where we reframe economics, management, and psychology. Today, we're continuing our journey through Dr. Veer's really transformative book, Self-Management. This is our 8th exploration in the series, number 8 of 12, actually. And we're focusing today on what Revere calls the general framework of self-management.
That's right. And this one really gets into how these self-managed areas are structured. But maybe more importantly, how each person figures out their own unique purpose within all that. It builds on what we talked about before regarding the big picture, the organization's purpose.
Okay, so we're moving from the company level down to the individual. How does my work connect?
Exactly.
We're going to unpack how individual contributions line up with, well, the bigger goals, company goals, even market needs, giving you a clear path to seeing your role in a self-managed system.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Let's start with setting the stage, those self-managed areas.
Right. So, picking up from Chapter 7, Revere stresses that if you're doing self-management across the whole company, you absolutely have to start by defining all the areas,
right,
and sub-areas too, meticulously. And the key thing is, each area needs a really clearly stated purpose, or you could call it its contribution. In the book, he talks about the self-management canvas. It's like a map where you name these areas and describe what they actually contribute.
Okay, so you map out the contributions of these different parts of the organization, but how does that broad purpose, say, for the marketing department, trickle down to me, the individual working there?
Yeah, that's the crucial link. Once the area and its purpose are set, and everyone kind of gets the general framework, commits to it, then the next vital step is for each person in that area to define their own individual purpose. And purpose, in Revere's terms, is pretty simple. It's just the contribution that a group or individual brings to a higher purpose.
That idea of connecting to something bigger, it sounds sort of familiar, like concepts we see in other models.
It does have echoes, yeah. You might think of holarchy, Robert Robertson's idea of a holarchy. Now, Revere's model is different. You know, it's specific form, the processes, procedures, they're distinct. But that concept of holons.
Holons.
Yeah, like a whole that's also part of a larger whole. The really useful way to picture these layers, think about your body, for instance. A cell is a holon, right? It's a whole cell, but it's part of an organ.
Which is also a whole, but part of the whole person.
Exactly. The organ is a holon within the organism. So you have these nested layers, these holes within holes. It gives you a mental picture for how these self-managed organizations are structured.
Okay, so layers of purpose. How many levels does Revere identify?
He outlines 3 really clear levels that build on each other. First, level 1, the company's purpose. That's the top, the big contribution to the market, satisfying some need out there, the company's reason for being, essentially.
All right, the ultimate goal.
Then, level 2, the area's purpose. So this is what your specific self-managed area, like marketing or production, contributes towards achieving that overall company purpose.
Okay.
And finally, level 3, the individual's purpose. And that's your personal contribution, what you bring to help your area achieve its purpose.
So it's like my little circle contributes to the bigger area circle, which contributes to the even bigger company circle, and that hits the market need. What does that actually mean for me day to day?
Well, it fundamentally means that every purpose at a lower level actually includes the purposes above it. So your individual purpose isn't just about your tasks. It inherently contains the area's purpose, and by extension, the company's purpose too.
Ah, I see. So even if my colleague and I are in the same area, sharing that area purpose.
Exactly. You share the higher level purposes, yes.
Yeah.
But your individual purposes, your specific contributions to that area purpose, they're unique. It's about finding your specific way to add value within that structure.
Yeah. That clarity sounds powerful. But how do I actually figure that out? What questions should I be asking myself to define my own purpose in this system?
Revere gives 3 really practical questions to guide that reflection. First, why does my position exist within the area? Pretty fundamental.
Okay.
Second, what contribution do I bring to achieving the area's purpose? So what's my specific value add?
Right.
And third, this one ties it all together. What needs of the area do I actually satisfy with my contribution? So that this, in turn, can satisfy the needs of the company's purpose, and these, in turn, those of the market or society.
Wow, okay. That really forces you to connect the dots all the way up.
It does. It's not just theory. It's meant to be a practical exercise for everyone in this system.
Makes sense. But defining that contribution, it sounds straightforward, but I imagine it can be tricky to articulate.
Oh, absolutely. Saying my contribution is X sounds easy, but nailing it down clearly often isn't. And that's why Ravier highlights the value of coaches or facilitators. They can be internal, external, doesn't matter. But they help guide that process because these purposes need to be aligned really clearly, directly, operationally. They are, as Ravier puts it, the backbone of commitments in self-management.
The backbone. Okay, so if they're that fundamental, how do you make sure how do you validate them, ensure they're effective and truly aligned?
Good question. Ravier suggests three main ways to validate these purposes. One is basically self-definition, followed by tracking. You define your purpose, and then over an agreed time, you see if the results, tracked by the system, actually bear it out. Does it work?
Okay, so performance validates it.
Kind of, yeah. The second way is through facilitated discussion. Think of a structured meeting, maybe led by a coach. You expose the purpose, people give opinions without debating it, you make adjustments based on that feedback, and then the team or area reaches conformity.
A more collaborative approach.
Exactly. And the third way, which you see in more mature self-managed companies, is experience-based validation. Over time, certain contributions just become recognized through experience. People know who delivers what value. Members might even self-assign based on where they know they contribute best.
So it becomes embedded in the culture.
Right. But even then, Ravier emphasizes they're not set in stone. They should always be open to modification, improvement. It's dynamic.
That dynamism seems key. Now, you mentioned Ravier uses an example to really hit home what purpose means, moving beyond just tasks. The teacher example.
Ah, yes. It's a great one for shifting perspective. So if you ask most people, what's a teacher's job? They'll say,
to teach. Obvious.
Right, it's obvious. But Ravier challenges that. He says, imagine a teacher who taught brilliantly. Lectures, activities, the works. But the students, they didn't actually learn the material.
So the teaching happened, but the outcome didn't.
Precisely. The problem isn't the task, teaching. It's the objective, learning. So Ravier argues the teacher's real work isn't just to teach, it's to ensure students learn. That's level 2 thinking.
Okay, shifting from the action to the immediate outcome for the other person.
Exactly. But then Ravier takes it even further. This is the part that really reframes things. What if the teacher succeeds? Students learn effectively. Great. But then the teacher recruits these now skilled students to go work for a direct competitor of the company that hired the teacher in the first place.
Ooh, okay. That sounds like, well, bad ethics, maybe?
You might think ethics, sure. But Ravier says, from a self-management perspective, the teacher still hasn't fulfilled their work, even though they taught and the students learned. Why?
Because the original organization didn't benefit? The one paying the bill?
Bingo. The work wasn't just for the student, the objective. It was ultimately meant to benefit the contracting organization, the purpose. Failing to meet that higher organizational purpose means the work, in Ravier's definition, wasn't fully done.
That's a profound shift. It's not just about doing my job well or even making my direct customer happy. It's about the bigger organizational contribution.
It really is. And this leads him to define work on 3 levels, which are absolutely critical in self-management. Level 3, centered on me, the task. This is just the actions I perform, like I write code, or I make sales calls, or I teach.
Okay, the basic activity.
Level 2, centered on the other, the objective. This is the desired outcome for the person receiving my work. Students learn, customers buy, software functions correctly.
The immediate result for someone else.
And then the crucial one, level 1, centered on the organization, the purpose. This is where work must be defined in self-managed systems. It's about contributing to the organization's overall purpose. Ensure the company benefits from skilled individuals, generate revenue for the company, deliver value to the market through our software.
So in self-management, you have to operate starting from level I thinking, the big purpose, and let that drive level 2, the objective, which then informs level 3, the tasks you actually do.
It's exactly right. You start with the why for the organization, then figure out the what for the recipient, and finally the how for yourself. Traditional management, he argues, often works backwards. Starts with tasks, level 3, or maybe objectives, level 2, in isolation.
Which leads to misalignment.
Yeah, misalignment, inefficiency, and as the teacher example shows, it can even undermine the real organizational goal without people even realizing it sometimes. It's about flipping that whole perspective.
Okay, that's a huge reframe of work. Now, you mentioned one final reflection, the motivus.
Yes, the individual motivus. This is a really deep personal reflection Ravier encourages. Think of motivus as, well, what's in it for you? What drives you personally? We've established that the company's purpose meets market needs, which stem from human needs. Your work aligns with that purpose, right? Helping the company satisfy those needs.
Right. My contribution.
But now flip it. Revier asks you to ask yourself, what contribution do I receive from the company by doing this work? Forget the company for a second. Why do I do what I do? What needs of mine are being met?
So moving beyond just the paycheck, presumably.
Way beyond. He prompts you to think about all kinds of needs. Material, sure, but also psychological, social, even spiritual needs. What combination of these is being covered for you through your work? That collection of satisfied personal needs. That is your individual motivus. It's the organization's contribution back to you.
Wow. Okay, so there's my contribution to the org and the org's contribution to me, my motivus.
Exactly. And this leads to the final concept here, coherence. Revier argues that the incredible efficiency you can see in truly aligned self-managed environments comes down to coherence, which has two parts. First, your ability to really grasp the organizational purpose and effectively bring your talents, your resources, your contribution to fulfilling it.
My output, basically.
Your output aligned with purpose, yes. And second, having sufficient personal motivus, getting enough of your needs met to genuinely want to give your best.
My input or my drive?
Your drive, your motivation, yeah. So the greater the alignment, the better the match between three things. One, the needs the company covers in the market, its organizational purpose. Two, the needs you cover within the organization, your individual purpose, your contribution. And three, the needs you cover for yourself personally, your individual motivus. The stronger that three-way alignment, the greater the coherence. And more coherence means more efficiency, more effectiveness, a healthier system overall.
So self-managed environments, when done right, are essentially really good at creating that three-way match between market needs, company needs, and my needs.
That's the idea. They excel at fostering this coherence, and Revier argues that's why these relationships tend to be more stable, healthier, more durable, and yes, significantly more efficient in the long run. People are connected to the work, and the work is connected to them on a much deeper level.
That's really powerful. Understanding your purpose isn't just about organizational structure, it's deeply personal too. A completely different way to think about your role and your work.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It moves beyond just tasks and objectives to genuine contribution and personal meaning, all aligned towards a common goal. It fosters those deeper, more coherent connections.
An incredible exploration today. Truly understanding and aligning that individual purpose within the general framework. It really does shift your perspective.
It's fundamental to making self-management truly work, not just as a system, but for the people within it.
Well, we invite you to continue this journey with us next time on The Outsider Edge. We'll build directly on this, diving into the self-management model canvas in more detail. Specifically, we'll look at necessary information, essential metrics, and updated access. How does the information flow support all this?
Crucial pieces of the puzzle. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for joining us for this exploration today. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Outsider Edge.